Thanks once again to Tim McManus for joining us on the show right there. Gunnar, you had asked the question about Marcus Mariota and the Eagles' backup quarterback spot. I know you know the answers to this, but just please, Tone, you as well, just confirm for me this is weird, okay? And I also want to unpack what he had to say about Sidney Brown now that he confirmed he is the one that said it to John McMullen about Sidney Brown. But, okay, this was Nick Sirianni talking about two quarterbacks. I'm not going to tell you which one just yet, okay? All right. We're finding out what he does well. We're learning him. Okay. He said that about one quarterback. Now about the other quarterback. We did our homework on him, you know. He's sharp. We liked what we saw from him. Okay. The first one is about Marcus Mariota. They have to learn a quarterback that is going into his 8th season in the NFL, who has played, I believe, 80 games in the NFL. The guy they did their homework on was the 6th-round pick out of Stanford. As the kids say, Gunnar, make this make sense. This doesn't make any sense to me.
To me, that's cover-up speak. There's no way when they decided on bringing Marcus Mariota in here that they're not done their homework. You don't have to do much homework. You've seen him play. You know, just because you may work for the Philadelphia Eagles, every team watches every team. Every team is always looking for another player that could possibly help their team. They have enough sample of work on Marcus Mariota from his time in the NFL. That's cover-up speak. I'm telling you, they're behind closed doors now. We might have a problem here. You know, we got to figure something out here. Either we have to streamline the offense when he's in the game, as they did with Minshew last year under Steichen, or we may have to look for another backup quarterback, in a hurry. You can't draft a quarterback in the 6th round and feel good about taking a quarterback in the 6th round, saying that you thoroughly did your homework on him. No, it was a position where you didn't think he would be there, and even if he was on your board, when he was there, you felt that you had gotten what you needed in the previous pick, so you needed another quarterback anyway. And let's face it, this team likes to develop young quarterbacks. They hide them on the practice squad, and they like to slowly bring them along. So that's what McKee is to them. How much homework can you do? You don't know if he was that good, he would have gone in the first 3 rounds, not the 6th round. Plain and simple.
Let's really put this thing in perspective, right? You know, as far as you said, you believe he started about 80 games. We're talking about Marcus Mariota, right?
Yes.
So let's just really get into the nitty gritty of the specifics when it comes to what Nick Sirianni's saying about trying to learn Marcus Mariota, right?
Yeah.
Not only is there film on him, he's played in 87 total NFL games as a quarterback. He started in 74. He's went 34-40 as a starter. He's thrown over 2,000 passes. He's completed just over 1,300 of them. Right? He's thrown for over 15,000 yards, 92 touchdowns, 54 interceptions. What more do you need to learn about Marcus Mariota? Like, I'm not one to disrespect the player because it takes a lot of work to get to the NFL. It takes even more work to stay in the NFL. I respect anybody who's made it. I respect them even more if they've been able to sustain it. But the reality is, Marcus Mariota, and again, he's only played in 2 preseason games. This is a lot of people don't think the Eagle system is complex at all. A lot of people don't think so because of the RPO nature of it all. But we've seen Mariota time and time again. We've seen him as a starter, seen him as a backup. We've seen him get benched. We've seen him come in for guys that have gotten benched. We've seen him in so many various scenarios. Marcus Mariota is who he is. And then D-Gun, you brought up a point quite a few times about that quarterback series and Marcus Mariota and how he kind of phased into the zeitgeist. You know, he kind of just disappeared off of that show once he got benched. And that began to kind of push this narrative, not you necessarily, but this narrative kind of arose that does he love the game, right? And I haven't watched the series just yet. I haven't got into it just yet, but I'm going off of what you told me because you watched it through and through. You said that it kind of looks like he fell out of love with the game. And I can tell you right now, from my personal experience, when I fall out of love with something, when my interest starts to dwindle, my commitment to it, my commitment to being actually good at it starts to fall by the wayside. My attention to detail starts to fall by the wayside. And I don't know if that's what's happening to Marcus Mariota, but something isn't clicking with this young man. Well, I don't know if we're the same age or not. He's what, 29? Okay, I'm 28. I don't know what's going on with this brother. I really don't. But what I saw yesterday, he looked like he barely wanted to be there. He looked like he had no idea what his job was. And then all of a sudden you see Tanner McKee come in, and then you see him just run this offense, not just effectively, but efficiently, and creates instant offense. It's one thing for Mariota to, struggle a little bit, and he's still moving the ball, but it's a little bit of a struggle. No, when Tanner McKee came in, the offensive line looked better, the receivers looked better, everything looked better. And I'm not saying you got to start Tanner McKee, but you got to start looking into the pot of gold, so to speak, to find out where can you find another backup quarterback. Because I don't think Marcus Mariota is it. I just don't.
I feel that because of his 2 performances in a span of 5 days, Mariota is going to get some playing time in that last preseason game, number 1. Oh, yeah. I do fully expect Tanner McKee to play most of that game. And, we can say, well, Tanner's out there playing with, 2s, 3s, and 4s. I get it. But you still have to perform. He comes out of the gate, first series of the second half. His first pass is an out route to the sideline. Perfect. Right in the numbers. We didn't see Mariota do that all night, and he was playing with the second offensive line. We didn't see him do it all night. He completed some passes. What was his numbers?
10 of 17, 10 of 18?
No, Mariota was 9 of 17, 86 yards, 1 interception. And that interception, it happens to quarterbacks. That interception was more like a punt than it was an attempted pass. He had the wide receiver wide open in the middle of the field, overthrew him, and it's a pick. It was basically a pop-up for the DB. And we've seen too much of that. And I think Sirianni and the coaching staff, offensive coaching staff, are going to have to start streamlining the offense to cater to whatever strengths they identified. Whatever they identified in him when they decided to sign him, whatever strengths they believe he has through OTAs, mini camps, and training camps, and now 2 preseason games. Whenever he's in the game, they're going to have to streamline that offense to fit his attributes to make him look better, because at the rate we're looking at it right now, there's nobody who's watching Eagles football that has any confidence in this guy. And you're right. I wonder, after his 2 performances, self-admitted by him, how much confidence he has in himself now.
No, I'm 100% with you there. So let's just live in a world for a second here where Marcus Mariota is not it. Okay, let's live in that world for a second, and let's not jump to the conclusion that he has Tanner McKee has ascended to backup quarterback. Let's not jump there. Let's assume that they're going to bring in another veteran. One of the names that was out there on Twitter all night last night, or the platform formerly known as Twitter and other social media, was Nick Foles. Would you bring back Nick Foles to back up Jalen Hurts? Tone, I'll ask you first. Tone, you want Nick Foles back here?
Listen, man, I love Nick Foles.
Oh, right? Boy, here we go. You want him back or not? Everyone loves Nick Foles.
Listen, I love him. He'll never have to pay for another cheesesteak, soft pretzel, or a water ice ever again in the city of Philadelphia. He is forever enshrined in Philadelphia sports lore, right? He's up there next to baby Jesus. Like he's up there. So, and I say that tongue in cheek, of course. I say all that to say, Nick Foles, my brother, just sit in the stands with us. It's okay. We'll pay for your seats. We'll pay for your beer. We'll take care of you. But we don't need you. We don't need you backing up anything. And it's no disrespect, but there comes a point in time where you have to turn the page, and this is one of those situations. It's time to look forward, and we can't just keep looking back to expect Nick Foles to come in and save the day every time a fire starts.
I am amazed by this by this storyline around Nick Foles. But Gunnar, I want your take on it as well. Would you take Nick Foles back?
No, I love Nick Foles. I know him. He's a friend of mine. But Nick Foles is not walking back through that door. He's not the type of quarterback to run this type of offense. He's not. He's a plotter. He's a Clydesdale. There are thoroughbreds you see across the NFL. There are a whole bunch of thoroughbreds, Michael Vick Part 2s. Every team's looking for the next Michael Vick Part 2 now. Okay? Nick Foles, and those are thoroughbreds. Nick Foles is a Clydesdale. You don't want him running this offense. It would take him too long.
What the hell was Gardner Minshew? Would you take Gardner Minshew back on this team?
No.
You wouldn't take Gardner Minshew over Marcus Mariota.
I would take. No, because it works better. There's a relationship between him and Steichen that works better than Brian Johnson, I believe.
Okay,
so there's a difference.
Okay,
a little bit of a difference.
Okay.
Minshew could run this offense, but if he could run it the way they wanted, he would still be here.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have let him go. Howie wouldn't have let him go with Shane Steichen as a gift to Shane Steichen. You know, Minshew wasn't going to cost him a lot of money to keep him here. You know, now Minshew went to Indy thinking I got a chance to start. He's already lost a starting job in training camp to this Anthony Richardson, who we keep hearing about. This dude is like a world beater again in training camp. You know how I feel about training camp preseason game.
Yes, we do.
But Anthony Richardson, the boy 6'4", 255. I mean, I hope he's not the second coming of Jamarcus Russell, but he is a specimen. But Minshew couldn't win the job in Indy for his offensive coordinator. I don't want either one of them back. And when you look at what's out there on the open market, and we talked about this last night on the postgame show, the closest thing I would want coming in here would be Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan is not suited for this type of offense. He's not. But Matt Ryan can survey a field and throw the pass, but this offense is not just predicated on a pocket passer. You have to be able to get out on the edge. You have to be able to turn up and run. You have to give a defense a look that they think they're seeing, but they're really not. That's what Jalen Hurts does so well. But no, Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew, they're not walking through this door, Mark. Give it up. Give it up.
They were better off, actually.
They
were better off trying to get Teddy Bridgewater, but he ended up signing to Detroit. I'm like, you know, Mike White, somebody. I mean, I don't know, man. Marcus Mariota just looks. Someone put in the chat and says he looks disenchanted with football, and
disenchanted.
And when they said that just resonated with me. So, and I don't know if it was the word disenchanted, but he just looks like football is not even on his mind.
Let me say, so you brought up the history, obviously, here with Nick Foles. So if Nick Foles didn't win a Super Bowl here, you'd be more inclined to bring him back?
No.
Like that's the thing. Like, people look at the history here and they look at it as if it would be a shadow over Jalen Hurts the way it was over Carson Wentz. And Jalen Hurts ain't that guy. The reason I have so much more confidence in Jalen Hurts at this point in his career than I did Carson Wentz is because I felt like at different times we got glimpses into Carson Wentz's real psyche, and I was like, that guy ain't it. That guy ain't it. But with Jalen Hurts, I feel like anything could go on around him, and he'll still be laser focused. He will control what he can control. I'll go back to it again. I always bring it up whenever we talk about Jalen Hurts' first year as a starter, and they were talking about trading for Deshaun or bringing in Deshaun Watson, trading for him, bringing in Aaron Rodgers, bringing in Russell Wilson. He was always saying I was above it all, and nothing rattles this guy. If you brought in Nick Foles, I don't even think it would register. He would look at it as like, oh, cool, another guy I could pick the brain of. But when it comes to just looking to fill a backup role in Philadelphia, I would not be opposed to. I'm not banging the door down saying you absolutely need to get Nick Foles, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. There is something about that Schuylkill spring water that just makes Nick Foles play great football. If he goes into plays, I'd be all for it.
If they did bring him in, I'm not going to be pissed off about it. You know, let me make that clear. If they did decide, hey, you don't bring in Nick Foles, I'm like, okay. Like I'm not going to be upset if they bring in Nick Foles. Like I don't want anybody or the live chat to get confused. Like I love Nick Foles. He has given us all something that we've longed for, right? So if they did bring him in, I'd be like, oh, okay. You know, I'll shrug my shoulders at it. Like, all right. But, you know, I'm not banging down the door to get Nick Foles in this building. And you're right. Like, Jalen Hurts can meditate in a forest fire, and he'll be perfectly fine. So, like, you know, if Foles did come in, sure, okay, fine. But I'm not campaigning for Foles to come back. That's just not where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Mark, stop it. Stop.
I'm just saying, people were talking about it on the social medias last night during the game.
You're like the guy who puts a stick in a hornet's nest just to stir him up. No, Mark, not happening. No.
I love that it's a name that we all love. Okay. I love that it's a guy that gave us a thing, Tone, as you said, that we never had before. But ever since he's been gone, it's like, don't you dare even consider bringing him back. This city can't take it. This team can't take it. And I'm like, well, he played pretty well here. Oh, hogwash. It's like
because you know what it is? Every time, okay, we saw what happened with Wentz, right? Like anytime he had a bad pass, where's Foles? Where's Foles?
This is so different.
No. It is different. You're absolutely right. It is different. And Jalen Hurts, I'm not saying it's going to affect Jalen Hurts, right? But you still have this small subset of Eagles fans that believe Nick Foles is like the magic elixir to any poison we may come across, right? Like I'm telling you, there are a small group of Eagles fans huddled in a cave that's just that has a Nick Foles
having a seance.
That has a Nick Foles shrine, and they're just holding a Nick Foles seance, just trying to resurrect this old Nick Foles spirit. And I'm telling you, if Jalen Hurts has a bad game or two or a couple bad passes, bring. You know how in wrestling they always say, "Bring out the chairs." Well, guess what? In football, they bring out Foles. Bring out the Foles. So I mean, like, it's going to be hilarious.
Since Mark wants to stir up the hornet's nest, I'm going to say this. I would rather have Carson Wentz running this offense because of his athleticism. Wait. Because of his athleticism to run out, to get out on the edge. But I don't want Carson Wentz here.
What?
I don't want Carson Wentz here.
What?
Yes. I would rather have Carson Wentz running this offense based on what we know of this offense. But I don't want to ever see Carson Wentz in an Eagles uniform again. Okay?
What?
Nick Foles can't. You got to be able to run. You got to be able to dance. That's not Nick Foles' game.
Did you just out hot take the hot take?
There you go. That's what I do. I throw the trump card.
Scorching.
I'd rather see Carson Wentz run this offense, but not with the Eagles. That was the statement.
Oh my God.
What did I say, Mike? What did I say?
I'm trying to figure it out. I want to clarify.
What did I say? I said I would rather have Carson Wentz. If push came to shove, I'd rather have Carson Wentz running this offense more so than Nick Foles because of his athleticism. But I don't ever want to see Carson Wentz in an Eagles uniform again.
I think that's the show. I think we have to wrap early. I think it doesn't get any better than that, ladies and gentlemen.
I wish Carson heard you say that because he can't take his Eagles helmet off. Like I wish he would have heard you say that. Listen, D-Gun. Carson Wentz, I'm not going to pretend like when he was at his peak in Philadelphia, we loved him. I was a Carson Wentz guy. Do not get it twisted. That was my main man, $100,000. I used to call him the Wizard. You know what I'm saying? But he is in the distance. Hey, yo, look, I'm wrong again, D-Gun. Wrong again. Wrong again, D-Gun.
I got him stirred up now. I got him stirred up. Yeah, I got people stirred up now, baby.
Oh my goodness, that is hilarious.
Look, that Chat Hornet's nest is buzzing now, isn't it?
Sure is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Listen. Somebody in the chat
you
said
are supposed to be drinking at work.
Someone in the chat said I'd rather bring back Coy Detmer.
Oh, that's my boy. I love me some Coy Detmer. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on old Happy Slappy Coy Detmer in Green Bay. Come on now. Oh God, that was fantastic. Hey, I do have we don't have time to. I want to have time to unpack the entire thing. But let's just call it what it is. I don't think the Eagles are making a change with their three quarterbacks. I think Ian Book is gone. I think we've established that. Ian Book is not going to be a member of the 53. Might make the practice squad. But I think Tanner McKee has proven that he could be one of your 53 men. He could be he could dress on game day, and he could help you out, and maybe even help you in a stretch where, God forbid, you get down to him. But I do think the Eagles are going to use Marcus Mariota as their backup quarterback when the season starts. I don't think they're going outside the realm to bring in anybody else to be their backup quarterback. Gunnar, what say you?
I agree, but look at what's out there in the open market right now. I don't want any of them.
Not a damn thing.
And we talked about, I went down the chart yesterday. You want Chase Daniel? No. You look at what's out there. You want Carson Wentz? No. Look what's out there in the open market. Matt Ryan? No. So you're gonna go with what you got. You're gonna go with it. Now, Tanner, we're all hyped up on Tanner McKee, and rightfully so, after based on 2 preseason games. But I want to see what it looks like, and I don't want to see, because that means Jalen Hurts is hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see what Tanner McKee looks like when you're playing number ones across the board, when you're playing Buffalo's defense, when you're playing that Jets defense. I want to see how cool of a customer he is with those kind of pass rushes come after him. That's a big difference. Okay. He looks good in these games, and rightfully so, because any opportunity you get, you have to make the most of them. I don't care who's out on the field with you. You have to make the most of them. But I think we will be pumping the brakes to see a young, untested Tanner McKee under center, even with this vaunted Eagles offensive line. When you're trying to sidestepping like Fred Astaire, trying to get away from the likes of the Jets, Buffalo's defense, 49ers defense. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. You know, and the coaching staff's right. He's not ready for that yet. The fact that the NFL now allows 3 quarterbacks to be on an active roster, great for him. It's a learning curve that's afforded to him on big game situations, you know, to stand there, listen, input, listen to the coaches, listen to the quarterback, listen to what Jalen Hurts is saying, listen to what Sirianni and Brian Johnson are saying. It's a great, valuable lesson for him. But in terms of him being thrown to the wolves right away, he's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Not ready.
Right.
For it.
Yeah, really quick.
Tone,
go ahead. Go first.
No, I was just going to say, Tone, you're Marcus Mariota is your backup quarterback when the season starts.
You know, it is
prediction.
It is.
You're making a prediction.
Well, okay. So yeah, I do ultimately believe he's going to end up being the backup quarterback for the simple fact, you know, I don't see Howie Roseman trying to create more work for himself in that regard. And you know, on top of that, it's, you know, I've been thinking about this. How spoiled of a market are we where we're sitting here debating the second and third string quarterbacks? That's a fascinating place to be in, and I only think it's accentuated because of our history with success when it comes to the backup quarterback, right? You know, Carson Wentz goes down, Nick Foles comes in, does the impossible, right? So Philadelphia has naturally taken a strong liking or paid special attention to who the backup quarterback is, because we know how valuable that position was to us. So I think, you know, because I highly doubt there are many other fan bases that talk about backup quarterbacks the way we do, right? Because they haven't had that same experience, you know. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this thing plays out. I do believe Marcus Mariota will be the backup at the end of the day, because his skill set, even though that skill set may seem diminished at the time, his skill set closely aligns with what this offense really is. And I think you want to have that kind of continuity to some degree when it comes to that backup quarterback position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me just reiterate what I said yesterday. Here are your free agent quarterbacks to pick from: Wentz, Matt Ryan, Brady's retired, Joe Flacco, Nick Foles, Chase Daniel, Bryce Perkins, and Tim DeMoret, who I've never heard of, 23 years old. Okay. Does anybody on this list jump out at you?
Now you kind of have Carson Wentz. No, I was kidding. No, nobody on that list jumps out to me.
I mean, anybody who else already has a job: Blaine Gabbert, Trevor Siemian, Nate Sudfeld, Jack Driscoll, Brett Ripien, Trace McSorley, John Wolford. All these guys already have jobs. They're back. Mike White, Case Keenum, Cooper Rush, Brian Hoyer, Sam Darnold, Jason Stidham. You know, they all have jobs.
Yeah.
Unless one of those teams cuts somebody else like that, there's nobody. Yeah. Marcus Mariota, fan base, get used to it, and just pray that Jalen Hurts is not down on the turf for an extended period of time, and the broadcasters announce, now entering the game, Marcus Mariota.
When we come back, I do want to get into that topic that Tim McManus was talking to us about a second ago with Sidney Brown. The idea of being too aggressive for this defensive scheme or philosophy. All right, because that is troublesome. And I thought it was, other than adjustments, I think it was the worst part of Jonathan Gannon's defense, especially in his first year as a defensive coordinator. Last year, 70 sacks, you didn't need to be all that aggressive. But to hold back a player who is willing to make a play. I'm going to talk to him. I want to get your guys' take on why that could be troublesome. We'll be back in a second.